Remember this lovely moment from a few weeks ago? We got a soft spot on the bottom and discoloring in the wood on this side. So I thought, well, let's just take a look. And whoa, Nelly. Okay, kids, we'll talk about this later, okay? I think I need a break. Well, while this guy is taking a break. Oh, wait, that's me. Well, let's bring everybody up to date on where we are. While working on our motorhome on a friend's farm on Vancouver Island in this beautiful weather, I knew one of my projects had to be looking at the steps. We clearly had a problem. The wood was discolored on the right-hand side, and the bottom step was really spongy. As part of all this, I knew I had to find out where the source of the water was, and it became pretty apparent very quickly that the water had been coming in through an aluminum flashing directly above the door, probably for years, and the water had followed a path along the door, top of the door jamb, down the side, rotting out wood as it went along, and then just saturating the bottom step and the side panel. That was our problem. So as a starting point, I cleaned out and rebedded that problem area using my favorite sealant, marine sealant, Sikaflex 295 UV, the same stuff that I used on the skylight a few weeks earlier. With that done, I could now begin chipping away and getting at the worst of the problem. And this is now where we pick up our story. Well, I feel like I'm coal mining now. Holy cow. This is far more extensive than I ever imagined. Happy rebuild job, Bill. Oh my goodness. All of this from there. So I got some new wood, got my construction paper, and the steps are looking a little better, don't you think? It was quite a job. I cleaned out the rust. I treated these metal surfaces with a baking soda and water solution. It was a paste that I left on there for about 5 hours, and it cleaned it up really nicely. And then I just simply applied Tremclad rust paint. You know, if this was a brand new RV or I was going to be living for another 30 years, I probably would have got in there with a proper grinder and got rid of all the rust and done the full primer. And I'm too old for that. I don't have that time. So I think this, if this rust paint makes a wagon survive for grandkids, well, then it's going to work on the steps, for God's sakes. Okay, so here we are. So these metal parts are primered, and I've just been using construction paper to create a pattern for the new backing plate that's going to go on here to replace the old OSB board that I removed. So I have to put backing board here, and backing board here, and here. Okay, so let's get on with it. Okay, we're back at it. So I've dry fitted the replacement wood. I reversed the pattern on the side piece, and you can see that that surface is not as smooth as these surfaces. It's plywood good one side, and I inadvertently flipped the pattern around, so I got the naughty side. It doesn't matter because it's just a backing plate. Just as long as it's a good grade plywood and it's 1/2 inch, it'll be fine. Now, bonding the wood to the metal sections of the step should be pretty straightforward. What I'm using is LePage construction adhesive. It's just a really strong adhesive. Works really well. I've used it in the past. When you're applying it on wood that's going against metal, it's best to have a water spitzer available because it just helps with the curing process when you're pushing wood against metal. You just give it a light spray. Okay, let's get on with it. You must be wondering why I'm putting screws in here. It's because I need some leverage to be able to tap these things out. This wood goes underneath the lip to the end. And when I dry fitted it, I can't pull it out. And this is why I've had to do this bottom step in 2 sections. I can't get one complete piece of wood under there without having to take this all apart. So I've just tapped this all the way to the end, and now to get it out, I will just use my hammer. Always have more adhesive. I just bought 1 tube thinking it would be enough. It wasn't. Okay, let's do our dry fit. This should fit like a dime. Perfect. Well, the side panel is now dry fitted. So I just need to get some protection on it, and then we'll be back for the finishing touches. On the inside, you can see where the water started to flow from the top to the bottom. It was coming in under here. This is about where that angle piece of aluminum is outside. And so the water would have come in here, saturated the wood over the door jamb, and then flowed down this piece of wood alongside of the windshield all the way down until it started rotting out the side panel and the bottom steps. So while I'm doing the repair on the steps, I wanted to replace this section with a nice piece of maple veneer, and I've got some left over. So we'll do the whole thing while we're at it. So what I did here is I just stripped off the surface that was had been destroyed by the water. It'll look a lot better once we're finished. Just bear with me, stay with me. This is really going to look okay in the end. You may wonder about my work. We'll get there. I just want to show you the pattern that I made for that section alongside the windshield. So we'll go outside now and cut that. Then it's going to be beer time. Okay, so we've got the piece beside the windshield laid out. we'll cut this and go dry fit it. Double moon. Okay, we have a dry fit. Good morning. Well, we're finally at the stage where I'm applying my first coat of protection on these pieces of veneer. I'm using Minwax Helmsman Minwax. I feel like a salesman. I'm not a salesman. It's just what I'm used to. It's not a fancy, particularly high grade finish, but it's a good finish. It's durable, easy to use, inexpensive. Well, now I am a salesman. It's what I use on my boat, and it really lasts. Easy to apply. So I'm going to put I'm going to put 8 coats on, starting today. You don't have to be very fussy with the first one. I just use a foam brush. You know, this is not a piece of jewelry. So let's just get at it. You can see how this urethane is really raising the color just with one coating. Remember, you're just laying the urethane on the surface. You're not brushing it in. You get bubbles that way, and so you just want to always maintain a wet edge and keep lots of it on your brush. What do I know? There's people out there watching this that are pros at this. I'm just slopping this stuff on. Just trying to remember a few things that my dad told me. Always maintain a wet edge. And don't brush a varnish or a urethane. Well, it's only taken about 10 minutes to get this far. This brush is so wide, it's just terrific. You know, the first couple of coats, all they're doing is sealing. This stuff is so absorbent, it just, the material, so it just sucks in the urethane. And you won't start to see the gloss until about the 4th or 5th coat. Well, 8 a.m., I just finished coat number 5 of the urethane coating, and you can see how the coating now has depth. It's starting to look really pretty. So 2 more coats to go. No, sorry, 3 more coats to go, and then we're complete. All of this was taking me so long, I had to return home. I needed to eat well again after being on my own on my friend's farm for about a month and a half working on Monty. And my friend and his family, they're vegans, and I'm not, so that didn't go so well. I couldn't be properly fed. It was time to finish off this project. Now this is a pretty poor excuse for a professional job of applying this adhesive. Contractors would probably fire me on the spot. I'm a novice. I put too much on, I think. And when I put this in, I have to slide it along, and I know it's all going to goop up at this end. This may not go very well. Let's give it a try. Okay, now even I surprised myself on that one. It went in really well. I had a bit of a goop, excess goop here, and I've got some up in the top. Always have a popsicle stick. Whenever you're using sealant or adhesive, it's so much easier to get stuff off. Now ideally, you'd want to have some pressure on this. I just can't rig up anything that's going to apply pressure for any length of time. It's in there pretty tight. I just didn't want to apply screws because I thought that would wreck the appearance. But if it doesn't hold, you can always put some screws with nice caps on them to match the wood. But let's just go with this. Now I still have to glue the thick rubber treads over these step footings. They're pre-cut, they're ready to go. That will take me no time at all. I just ran out of time before making this video, but I can assure you, when I do this, they are going to look exactly like the stairwell did before we had the water damage. just like this. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. We'll see you next week.